Good evening, everyone. We are back continuing our retrospective of all the theatrical Disney Pixar films. And we're at our second one today, 1998. That was a vintage year, wasn't it? That was a good year. I remember that.
That was about 12 years ago.
It seems like it. I would have been 5 at the time. And it was also the year of Pokemon, the first movie. It was a very, very good year. And we were 1 year away from Phantom Menace. That
And
is going to
weirdly,
come up.
Pokemon 2000 didn't come out in 2000, it came out in 99.
Yeah, I know. What's with that?
They
So
do that
weird.
with everything, don't they? They have what is it like the fucking, the yearly sports games, like fucking FIFA 29 or whatever, come out in
It's always a
2020.
year ahead. Yeah,
Bollocks.
yeah.
Why don't
But
they just do
yeah,
it January the 1st? I don't understand.
was it so hard to do? 1998. We're talking about A Bug's Life. Found my old video. There it is with a broken case. I usually treat my things well, but I don't know what happened with this. Maybe it fell off the shelf or something. This was a good time. I seem to remember, and I think you mentioned this last time, that with this particular film, they released it with a bunch of different characters on the front cover, and you could sort of choose which one you wanted.
I had the Ladybird. Oh, what's Ladybug's? Francis. Yeah, I had it with.
Francis, yeah.
And yeah, I can't remember all the ones they had, but I know I had Francis on the video.
This was one that you really wanted to talk about. I think this is probably one of your favorites out of the entire filmography of Pixar films. And I mean, this film was huge. Like when we were growing up, I actually didn't realize how much money it made. It made a lot of money at the time. It made 360 mil, well, over 360 mil. This was everywhere. I mean, we had video games, just fun memories of watching the film. I remember going on holiday somewhere, and those like instant tattoos you can get, usually like put like a patch on and dab some water on it or something, and you get sort of like the equivalent of a tattoo when you were a kid, and it just wears off in a couple of days. I remember getting one of those. Now, I can't remember if it was a transfer like that or if someone was like hand painting. I think someone was painting them on, and they were doing Bugs Life characters. And I got one of Hopper on my arm, and I had it on my arm for like 2 or 3 days after that holiday. It was really cool. Hopper was my favorite character. I was always one for the Disney villains. And I mean, it's a little bit awkward to talk about him now as a character based on the voice actor. But hey, he's a great character, right?
I think the best one is fucking, what's his name? The crazy one. What's his name again? Shit.
Yeah, he's like a rabid, crazy grasshopper.
Which is really weird because I rewatched this again like fucking an hour ago. Can't remember his fucking name.
Yeah, yes. I'm trying to find it.
He was my favorite.
No, Maltz's brother. Yeah, who's the crazy one? You carry on talking. You talk about your earliest memories. I'm going to try and find it.
Maltz's brother who malts in the thing because he takes off his skin. And he's like, when the last leaf falls and it falls, and he does the thing, so he properly malts in it, which is really, really cool. But I can't. Well, I feel the weird thing is to know whether I went to cinema to see this because it was so long ago, and I was 4, but I probably did. But I remember I went to cinema to see Toy Story 2. Did I go to cinema to see Ant's Life? Fucking hell. Did I? I can't remember, but I know it was one of my favorites. But it was like Toy Story was great, and then Bugs Life, and then Toy Story 2. And I just thought Pixar just did like fucking like the best movies. It was great. I was like, Disney does the 2D, Pixar does the 3D, and it was great for ages. And I didn't switch off from Pixar. When was it? What came out after Toy Story 2? Was it Finding Nemo?
Yes.
And then Monsters Inc.
No, sorry, Monsters Inc. first, then Finding Nemo, then Incredibles, and then Cars.
Yeah. Right, so yeah, it was after Incredibles, I think, that I didn't switch off. Well, I did because I've never seen Cars, but I switched off and kind of was just like, and then I started seeing a couple of Pixar movies here and there, whereas like before that, it was like, oh, this is great. But I was never the biggest fan of The Incredibles, which I'd say we'll come on to, and I know that's a big one that people love, and I was always just like, But I also did think that about Finding Nemo and Monsters Inc., so, But these first 3 were just fucking amazing.
I remember going to the cinema to see this one. This was a big one. And I did go and see Ants as well. And I loved both films immensely. I still love both films. I do give the edge to Ants. I think it's a better written film. It's a lot more adult. It's more satirical in its style with a lot more adult references in there. Bug's Life definitely appeals to kids more. And there ain't nothing wrong with that. It is funny to know that both of them came out right around the same time. Ants came out a month before A Bug's Life, I believe, and there's a whole behind the scenes like politics and just a feud between DreamWorks and Disney, and Pixar, which is really interesting to talk about. So we're going to talk about that later, which makes a lot more sense now as to why we have Ants and Bug's Life coming out around about the same time.
I always saw Pixar as Disney, like they were the same thing. Just Pixar was the 3D studio, and like, do you know what I mean? But they were always Disney Pixar. Like, was Disney Pixar was always, even when Disney started doing fucking Frozen and shit like that, and it was 3D. Pixar was still Disney. But I remember someone said to me they never saw Pixar as Disney. So when you put Toy Story and Monsters Inc. and Kingdom Hearts, someone was like, "Yeah, but it's not Disney." I was like, "But it is." To me, it was Disney, but so I don't know. But I've always seen it as Disney.
Well, and on that topic, we got a comment from Brian Emery who says, "I love this movie. I wish it was a world in Kingdom Hearts 4. I think this would be a great world. This would be your equivalent of that Toy Story world where you're shrunk down, within a world.
That's
I think
the thing.
you could.
You wouldn't be able to have both, I don't think, in the same, because it would be another shrunk down kind of thing. It was like, because when they did,
well, that's why he said Kingdom Hearts 4. In the next game,
because when they did Castle Dreams, and you had Ven was shrunk down, he was shrunk down, the other two weren't, and it was like this nice unique thing. I think it's kind of like that's why they probably had to kind of not put it in 3, which I would have loved to have seen in 3, but it's probably kind of why Neverland made it into 1, and then they went Pirates of the Caribbean, and like they'd have to sort of switch it up. But
what was I was reading up about this film, and apparently one of the earliest inspiration for this film was actually an Aesop's fable. Now, I don't remember this story. Maybe you do, because I know you've read a lot of, like children's books and fables and whatnot. The Ant and the Grasshopper. Have you ever heard of that Aesop's fable?
I've never read it. I don't really know, but I've heard the name.
So I think the story in a nutshell is it's about ants and grasshoppers, and obviously from the name, and the grasshopper is just sort of wasting its time throughout the spring and the summer, sort of singing and dancing and everything like that, whilst the ants are stocking food and preparing ahead for the winter. And when the winter rolls round, the ants are all nicely prepared, and the grasshopper comes to the ants and is sort of begging for food because he hasn't put any away himself, and the ants refuse. And I'm assuming the grasshopper dies at the end of that. And apparently Disney had produced, as part of their Silly Symphonies, a version of The Ant and the Grasshopper many, many years before, with a slightly more uplifting ending. When Pixar were coming up with like a storyboard for this and thinking of ideas, they thought, well, grasshoppers are bigger than ants. So in that story of Aesop's fable, the grasshopper would just wipe the floor with the ants and just take the food. And that's apparently how it all started. However, from last week on our live stream, we had a comment from Bath Time who mentioned that Bug's Life is basically the Magnificent Seven. Now, I have watched the Magnificent Seven many, many years ago. And I refreshed myself on the story of Magnificent Seven, and it's insane to see how many films have retold that story in a slightly different way. And it's basically the same film, isn't it? Like, I sent you the plot. What was the plot for Magnificent Seven? I'm just going to bring it up because I sent it to you.
The two, I've not seen it, but it's the two, like they're given protection over, and they're in like. In favor of food or something like that, like in return for I can't remember the actual
here we go. So we've got there's some desperate Mexican villagers who seek out some hired gunfighters to protect them from a ruthless bandit leader who periodically raids their village for food. It's the same film, isn't it? Bug's Life is the same film. So I think that could be kind of cool.
Isn't the whole thing with the mafia, the whole like they protect you for a price, and it's the same sort of thing. It's like these are the mafia bugs. It's great.
Mm-hmm. I think there are some. I really like the villains in this film. Actually, I think they're written really well. Especially Hopper is always my favorite. It's the typical thing how you have like your main villain and then a bunch of sort of idiots who are part of his posse and part of his gang, but they all have a really fun and interesting personality. I like the little bit of added lore with him and his brother, where he says, like, if I hadn't have swore on my mother's deathbed before she died that I wouldn't kill you.
Didn't he say mother? So are they brothers? And he's the
yes.
brother. Yeah.
Yes.
So that's yeah, so yeah, it's a nice little yeah.
But I do really like that theme, and it's a wonderful visual metaphor on Hopper's part, where he says, it's sort of like hierarchy and power, and if you let one ant stand up to us, then they all might stand up. When he's like throwing, is it like olives or something? He gets them out of the bottle, doesn't he? And it just crushes them all. I think it's really, really interesting. This absolute crazed, power hungry villain. And I think you can probably draw a lot of parallels in like today's political climate. Well, in every political climate, really, the whole like power thing and keeping the people down. And so if they all rose up, then yeah, things would be very different. It's all good stuff, and you might not pick up on it necessarily as a kid, but I think there's always something there. A good family film or a good Pixar film is, there's got to be something there to appreciate as an adult as well. And I think there's some fun visual gags in this that I probably clocked when I was a kid, but didn't understand the satire behind them or the comedy behind them.
It was one that I always, I mean, I watched Toy Story more regularly. Maybe, I say regularly. Last time I watched Toy Story, aside from our thing, was probably about a year before. Bug's Life was probably about 3 years before. So it's one that I have watched in adulthood.
Mm-hmm.
Like if I didn't watch it again this time round, I'd probably be able to talk about it the same. Do you know what I mean? I do know it quite well. And I just remember this time around again, still like laughing at things and be like, oh, that's funny. And I just always, so it's something that never lost its humor for me.
The one joke that really got me is actually towards the beginning, and I never really understood the context of this when I was younger. Probably it was just a part of the film, but it's the bit where the ants are all in a line at the beginning.
Oh,
the leaf falls down and separates them, and he doesn't know what to do, and someone has to intervene and talk him through about walking around the leaf. I thought that was really fun.
Yeah,
that was a good gag.
It's true though, because that's what ants do. It's great, but also true because, like you say, with the political thing, that's what general people are like. They're like, oh, I don't know what to do. It's like it's very, very disturbing that majority, like 95% of the population is like that.
Mm-hmm. What are some of your favorite comedic moments in this then? Because that's definitely up there for me. I like the flaming death sequence as well. That was apparently the first scene as well that was fully animated for the film, was that whole circus flaming death scene.
Yeah, I was about to say the because with fucking hell, what's the dumb Beetle's name?
The dumb Beetle, Dim.
Dim, there you go, Dim. How like with the where he's going, I'm going to find warrior bugs, and then there's him fighting fucking spider. Like what?
Oh, Rosie.
Yeah, Rosie. Yeah. And he's fighting her, and then she does, and it burns his foot, and then he cowers down at it. It's that nice intro to what these actually are, which is really cool. And my favorite bit was is the flies, like the thug flies, and calling Francis a lady and all that. I think that's really fucking cool. That was always my favorite bit. I always found the flies funny, and I love that thing and how the whole thing just went into chaos. And that bit in the game was so cool because you had the big bug that you bought, the big fucking brute fly, which was really fucking. That was a cool level, and it was you were constantly in this rolling can. And it was just this weird, like, okay, can we stop moving a minute? It was really weird.
Yeah, a comment from Brian Emery says, I had the Bugs Life video game for PS1. I didn't have this game myself, I don't think. I remember, so I used to go around my next door neighbor's house who had like all the consoles and everything, and I'd play the games on there. Usually he'd hand me a broken Player 2 controller, and I'd because I was younger than him by a couple of years, I'd think that I was playing the game, but it was actually him playing it because I had the broken controller. But I used to watch him play a lot of games, or my uncles as well. My uncle had a lot of games too, and I just remember little glimpses of it. Really, I remember the crazed sort of like rabid grasshopper chasing after you, or there's a boss fight with him or something fairly early on. I couldn't find his name, by the way. I know they do give him a name in the. Is it Thumper?
Yeah, I feel like it's Thumper. Yeah, but you run away from him in the game because it's like the third level or something, and you have to run away from him. Something like that, I think, because the ceiling's like caving in and shit like that. I think.
Yeah.
But that's on the back end of the anthill level where you have to walk around. And it's slowly like you get things start caving in and stuff. I remember that level. It was really cool because all the mushrooms are like glowing.
Yes.
And they're like lights. Yeah. That was so cool.
I remember you have to collect grain. I think you're hooked up to that contraption thing, right? That he
and then you collect like flick letters.
That's
and
it.
I
Yeah.
can't remember why. They're just a collectible. I can't remember what it does, but yeah, you collect flick letters as well.
Bath Time says, "Big up the lads. Never seen this, but apparently it's the same plot as Seven Samurai, so it's probably quite fun."
I don't
Yeah,
know
it's
how.
exactly the same. You mentioned Magnificent Seven last week, which I know in turn is based off of Seven
I don't
Samurai.
know if you enter 2026 and not see Butler. I really don't. I
But yeah,
told.
it's the same story. It is the
I
same
said this
story.
to someone before, not that specific thing, but I said to someone about Bugs Life, and they had never even heard of what it was, and I was like, I don't like this. This is not okay.
Mm-hmm. What I really like about this film, actually, one of the reasons they wanted to go with a film about bugs is we still got to remember this is 1998, so Pixar is still relatively in its infancy when it comes to feature films and what it's capable of. Apparently, the computers were still like really sluggish when they were trying to get this film done, so progress on it was very slow. But they thought that Bugs would be a good second film because, like toys, the textures on them wouldn't be crazy complicated to do, which I actually think they would be for insects. But if you look at what they did with the ants in the film, they definitely made them more, they redesigned them to make them slightly more visually appealing, more simple, dare I say. It's just kind of like a flat surface, isn't it? So they're very anthropomorphic. They're like people. They have 2 arms and 2 legs. So they've got rid of, because bugs have 6 limbs, right? They got rid of like the mandibles as well. So they didn't want to go with realistic looking bugs in this film. And on the other end with the grasshoppers, they gave them extra arms to make them more scary and I guess sort of like monstrous, I suppose, with like extra limbs and whatnot. So I think that was probably the right call. There definitely is a similarity between the designs of the ants, I would say, between Bugs Life and Ants, but ants, they're all a lot more textured and probably aren't as visually appealing to kids maybe than the ones are in a Bug's Life. I like the 2 designs between the 2 films, but I think Bugs Life, they probably made the right call for that, and I think they are visually distinctive.
And they're blue.
They are, yeah, they're blue. And then I thought, well, Princess Atta's like, is she like pink or purple or something?
Is that more purple? Like, because Dot's purple, isn't she?
That's like I'm guessing that's like the royal line, probably like the grandma and
yeah,
and like the Queen and Dot and whatnot.
But yeah, and they're flying ants as well.
Yes, that could be what. Yeah.
Which I fucking hate in this real world. I hate flying ants. They only come out in the summer in really, really rough areas. I don't know if you find that. If you go to a really rough, shitty street, they've got flying ants everywhere, and it's weird. And I don't know why. It's like they're attracted to the smell of fucking like Universal Credit and BO. I don't get it.
I will say this film, when growing up and probably ants as well, did give me a fascination with insects for like a long time. And ants in general, I was just kind of really intrigued by the insect world. I guess I became more aware of it around me based on these films.
The praying mantis marries a butterfly, but the praying mantis is going to eat her head off.
That's the female, isn't it?
Oh shit! Yeah, it's that way around, isn't it? Yeah, that's probably why he married a butterfly, so he doesn't get his head eaten off.
It's like a Black Widow spider as well. But they do have a joke of that in the film, doesn't she? Like Rosie saying, "And that's how my 4th husband died." But so now I'm a Black Widow, which is
yeah. To be that's a good point. I didn't think because I thought when I was watching it, I was like, oh yeah, because he would usually kill her. But no, yeah, that's right. That's probably why he married a butterfly, so he didn't have to get killed.
Let's see a couple of comments here. Bath Time says, I saw one about Jerry Seinfeld and Rambo, but it was some weird communist subtext, Ants or something. Yeah, Ants is... I fucking love Ants. I think it's a great film. Very, very different. Well, very, very similar to this, but also very, very different in its execution. But I love both. There's definitely...
I like Ants, but I've not seen it since I was probably 7, 6, 5.
About the Time says, yeah, the bad part of the forest is overrun by flying ants. When will the council sort their airborne hooligans out?
You never see, the thing is, you never see them like unless you're in a specific area at a specific time of the year. It's so weird flying out. But when you do see them, there's loads, and their wings are like fucking as big as their body. They're weird fuckers. And when I had like long hair, like if they got stuck in your hair, they would get stuck, and you like. It was weird. I find that weird, man.
One thing that this was initially a challenge for Pixar, and I think they really succeeded with this one, is that when you compare it to Toy Story, there are side characters definitely who all have their unique personalities, but the story, like by and large, focuses on Woody and Buzz almost exclusively, and it's that classic like buddy road movie, isn't it? Really. With A Bug's Life, you've got to establish a lot of different characters. It's not just Flick, Princess Atta or whatnot. You've got Hopper and his gang. You've got all of the circus bugs and, Dart. There's loads of characters going on that have all got to have their own character arcs, that have all got to have their own personalities and work off each other. Quite a lot of characters to contend with for a second film. And I think they did an incredible job. I think all of the personalities of the circus bugs really shine through.
You've got the doctor person who go around the leaf, and then his wife or some shit as well. You've got like these little
So it's just all the different personalities of everyone of the circus crew are just wonderful. And I actually don't think I've gone back to watch this film in a long time. I probably watched this last when I was maybe in like my early teens, perhaps maybe even when I was like 11 or something, 11 or 12 perhaps. So
I played the game about 4 years ago, so
yeah.
So it's great. One of my favorite. This is weird. Well, not my favorite characters because it's not really a character, but it exists. One of my favorite character models and moments is when he first goes into the city, and then there's this giant. Those weird fucking spiders.
Oh, it's the daddy long leg.
Yeah, and then just walks, and that just looks so cool. It was amazing. I thought that's one of my favorite shots.
Like how Toy Story had a Lion King reference. I noticed 2 Lion King references. One's a direct reference, and one could just be dialogue that's a happy coincidence that it's shared between it. There's a bit where Hopper says it's one of those circle of life kind of things. Now, that might not be anything, because the circle of life is mentioned in a few things, but Lion King made it popular, so my mind originally went there. And when he goes to the city and he has that bit where he's walking through, similar, I think it's that scene that you just mentioned with the daddy long leg, where he's basically walking through Times Square. At the very back, there is a advert or a logo for the Lion King musical, which you can see at the back. I don't know what that would be on, because it's all meant to be like cereal boxes and like tin cans and stuff, isn't it? So I don't know why that's there, but it is there in the background if you look for it. So
I like that city with the homeless bug and the fucking I like that with the whole just everything's run down. It's great.
And again, really, really bold for a second theatrical release. We talked about last week with Toy Story how for a first computer generated animated film, like feature film, Toy Story pulled no punches. Just how much they pushed the envelope with that first film. Like, they didn't need to do all of that for a film, but they did. This is definitely, I'd say, a step up in terms of like populating a scene. So like the city where just everything's moving. There's, hundreds of characters on screen in one go. Even the ants, like the ant colony. I was reading about how there'd be some points where they'd have hundreds of characters on screen all in one. And I think they'd animate like 8 individual ants and then put it into basically like a randomizer. It would generate loads of them. And then they could individually tweak each ant so they can make one a little bit bigger than one of them. So they all, it didn't look like copy paste, copy paste, copy paste. It looked like they were all unique and doing their own thing. So you can definitely see already with this second film, they're pushing the envelope in terms of technologies, just in terms of sheer amount of characters that you can have on screen at once. But also, I was really struck by the lighting in this film. I thought it looked, and the environments looked incredible. Now, of course, they get better as the decades go on, but for a second film in 1998, I think this looks amazing.
One of my favorite bits of animation though is the water. You know how like they become like
the
actual
droplets.
Like because even when they hold the actual bits of water, it's so. I'm still looking at that and I'm like, that's just so cool that they're actually just like little pieces of water.
It does make me go on, sorry.
Doesn't make sense because you're just like, why is water like solid? Like that's what you think as a kid. That's what I always thought. I don't get it.
And there's a bit with the mosquito where he's like, hit me, oh positive, and they give him like a blood droplet. Where did they get that from? I don't know. But yeah, the environments look amazing. Like one bit that always sticks in my mind is where Flick's about to leave the colony and then there's almost like, it's basically like the Grand Canyon to him, isn't it? It's this, really like the sun's beating down and all the ground's cracked and everything, and he gets the little dandelion and flies across. Love that scene. What they developed was like a little camera that I think they put on Lego wheels so that they could sort of get almost like a POV shot of what a bug's vision would be like. So I guess like they wheeled it under leaves and under grass and stuff. And what they were really struck by was how the light reflected through the leaves or the blades of grass or whatever. And I think John Lasseter, the director of this film, described it as almost like being under a canopy of stained glass, which even like the wallpaper here that I've got for the video, that populates the entire film, and I think they really achieved that.
That's really cool. I like that idea. I never thought of that.
And I think they developed new technology, like new lighting technologies for that, because we talked about Toy Story 1, like the lighting was good, but we can definitely see that lighting in animated films has got better. And I think even just from this second film, they really upped their game in that regard. And it just gets better and better as we get into Finding Nemo, and again the way like the light cascades through the water and refracts off everything. Yeah, it's just really, really good stuff. I think this is a solid film. I think it's still a really solid film. Granted, the story isn't anything mind-blowing, or it isn't trying to do anything massively new with the story. It's pretty standard. Like, I'd give this like a high average review. This isn't probably like one of my favorite Pixar films, but I do really enjoy it. It's probably a reason that I haven't gone back to it as much as perhaps some of the other ones.
I think for me, it's. I was going to say it's kind of on par with Toy Story 1 in terms of how good I think it is. I think Toy Story has the edge of the characters. I think there are more engaging characters overall. And obviously it's got a series to fall back on. Like, it's got like Toy Story 2 being one of my favorites ever. And it's just the whole series in itself is really great. And it's got this whole big saga of, this just whole world of characters. And the characters, I think, are more compelling overall. I think Bug's Life, if you just compare it to Toy Story 1, sometimes I feel like overall, I think I would prefer Toy Story 1, but it's very, very close. I could probably get sometimes I probably prefer Bug's Life. Like, I think this time around watching them, I think I preferred Bug's Life, but also because it'd been like, I was like 4 years since I watched Bug's Life, 3 years, or whatever. Toy Story I probably watched the year before. So it's probably because it's less, you know what I mean? It'd been more time, but I think Toy Story 1 only has that little bit of an edge for me. I do think this is one of the top ones.
I watched this with my folks, actually, and this was a film that my mum always like never cared for. She was definitely preferred Ants. I think she went to see both of these at the cinema with me when I was young. And we all sat down to watch this, and when it finished, she says, "You know what? I actually enjoyed that a lot more this time round," and she had a really good time with it. And actually, before I even mentioned about the whole Magnificent Seven thing, she almost cut me off mid-sentence and said, "I was just about to say this feels a lot like the Magnificent Seven." And I even noticed the music, the Randy Newman score, which I love, by the way. I think it's a really great score to this as well. Not as massively keen on the end credits song, "It's a Time of Your Life." Like, it's fine.
I think that's great. I absolutely love that. I remember I watched it, I can't remember, a while back, and I fell asleep at one point. I woke up and then our music was playing. I was like, yeah, this is great. I absolutely love that end song. Great.
But the actual score to me is very much like a Western, that like even like the main titles or the music that plays when like the grasshoppers show up. And I don't know if, because the story is so very, very close to something like the Magnificent Seven. I don't know if Randy Newman took inspiration from Westerns for his score as well, but I was picking up on a few cues that sounded similar to the things that I've seen. Similar to Toy Story, I think another standout for this is the voice cast. I think there isn't a voice that doesn't fit the character at all. I see the character on screen, even if you've got a celebrity voice actor. There's a lot of television stars in this one, and a lot of sitcom stars.
This one's got like a lot of them, because you get a lot of crossover, like voice actors then go on to do this, or they've been this. I think this is the more self-contained one, if I'm correct. Like, I do think this is more unique sort of, because I was thinking about it today, and if they were to do a sequel, there would be a lot of characters that would be recast, obviously. You know, like you wouldn't get Hayden, Penny, whatever her name is, to do Dot, like, obviously. Do you know what I mean? Like there would be a lot of I mean, but then again, would it be something set years later? Or would it do an Incredibles that's set?
Well, I was just about to say that's what I actually wanted from Incredibles 2, was to see these characters aged up. But
yeah, that's what I was thinking. Like, would it be set, you know, many years later, or would it be set, you know, like where like just fucking a month later or some bollocks? But it also depends what route they go down with the ants. Like they could go, oh, we only live 10 years, or they could just not say that and they'd just be like, oh, it's been, you know, 20 years ago. But speaking of years, it was set in 1998, because they do say at the beginning, oh, this is nothing compared to the Twig of 93. So it was.
That's true. Yeah.
Like it is actually set in that year.
Yeah. I never even thought of that. Yeah. It does surprise me. I'm not even saying I want a sequel to this. I'm actually kind of glad that we don't, because they just mess it up now.
Yeah, I'm glad we. Yeah, they would mess it up, and I think it would end up doing a chicken run. I mean, I've not seen the Chicken Run sequel, but I think it would end up doing that, where there's a few recasts. They might get one person back or two or whatever, but it just wouldn't be anywhere near as good.
Yeah.
So it is nice that it's left alone. It's kind of like the I don't know. I was trying to compare it to a mainline Disney movie, but there's this, I can't think of one off the top of my head, but it's like the one that's sort of like, this is great and it's just been kept, kind of like Black Cauldron. Let's put it that. It's kind of like one that's like, it doesn't get looked at a lot, but it is fucking amazing. And it's like, you know what? I'm kind of happy we just kept it the way it is. But in some ways, I do wonder, like, why is it the only one that's not got a fucking sequel?
I am surprised, because it's not like this film did poorly. This film did really, really well. And yeah, I think in the world of bugs, that, you know, the sky's the limit. Like you could go absolutely nuts with it. Imagine the amount of bugs that you could have in a sequel and what we can do with it, especially now the technology is updated. But yeah, I mean,
it could be a fucking butterfly.
He should be, yeah, but they'd be like, no.
But did fucking shitty giant fat thing with
wings. He's too fat. He can't fly.
So he would have wings.
Be on Ozempic or something. Now he's slimmed down. But yeah, we live in a world where we've got a Cars trilogy and spin-off with planes. We've got two of them, actually.
A Star Wars sequel trilogy.
We've got a Monsters Inc. prequel, a Finding Nemo sequel, 5 Toy Story films, and Incredibles 2. I feel like we've got sequels to mostly everything now, like at least like the initial few that came out.
Yeah, we do have all the more original ones. So yeah, they went sequel heavy at one point, didn't they?
Their third film is a sequel, which we always keep forgetting about. But
no, this is true. But what I'm saying is, at one point they did go full Pixar, where equals to everything. But yes, their third film is a sequel. Yeah.
And yeah, we've never had one with this one. But yeah, the voice cast are all from like American TV sitcoms. So I won't list all like the names of the actors out, but I'll list their shows. So there's like News Radio, Seinfeld, Spin City, Frasier, Everybody Loves Raymond. I've seen a couple of those here and there, but nothing major. But I think all the voices are perfect and do fit them really well. She is, yeah. This must have been one of her first. I was just about to say, this must be one of her first films. I'll double check.
Is this the first one where we've had a Kingdom Hearts voice actress or voice actor who's in it, but not just because it's their Disney counterpart? Because Bugs Life has never been in it. Is this the first? Like,
not counting like voice actors from Disney films that return to play their characters.
I guess so. You know, Hercules or Hades or someone who's just played that character. I'm on about that plays an original Kingdom Hearts character.
Oh, this was her second film, apparently. So, yeah, there you go. Oh, of course. Then she was in Disney's Dinosaur after that. I keep forgetting she played Suri in that. Yeah.
All the people like Atta and stuff is, like you say, it's all sort of like, you're not that they're not well known, but they're not. They didn't do the same thing they did with all the other movies where they got like huge. It was sort of contained just to this. A lot of them are dead now. A lot of the older ones, like Manny's dead, and Queen fucking not Amidala. What's her name?
Dilys Filler plays her, doesn't she?
Yeah, what's her name? Like Queen.
It's just the Queen, isn't it? Is that her name?
Didn't she have a name?
I guess at her. would it, would
No,
it be...
no, I don't know. Like, no, because it'd be, yeah, she wouldn't have the same. Oh, she might do. I don't know, but yeah, she didn't. She's just the queen. Oh.
Brian says my favorite line is "Shoe fly, don't bother me." Yeah, that was a clever line. That was a good line.
Yeah, that was. there's some good puns and stuff, and like in these. Did you get puns and shit like that more in older films like this? You don't get it as much these days, and if you do, they're just really stupid. That you're like, okay, like why? Like, do you know what I mean?
Travis Mitchell, who says, "How's it going, guys?" Yeah, no, we're doing well, thanks, man. Talking about a great film, so it's always nice when we're not hating on or bitching about the current state of Disney.
And it's not like, which I feel like the first dud in this series. I think for me, Finding Nemo will slow down, but I could have a better opinion on it.
Yeah, it's Cars for me. Cars was the first.
Yeah, Cars will be the first dud, I think.
Yeah. But, when you get to the likes of Cars 2 or Cars 3, suddenly the first Cars film doesn't look so bad. I think for me it was difficult for me to suspend my disbelief with Cars. Everything else, Toy Story, I'm like, okay, yeah, the toys come alive when the humans aren't around. Okay, fair enough, I'll go with it. Bugs Life, we're in a world of anthropomorphic bugs, fine. But with Cars, it's strange to me because I'm like, who manufactured these cars? Why do we still have buildings and petrol stations? Who built the electricity poles, power lines and everything? Like, who built the infrastructure? And if you say cars, then how? Because they don't have thumbs, and it's really confusing to me. And I was like, is someone driving the car? These are self-driving cars. Okay, I just can't. My brain is confused by the premise.
Speaking of that, we almost got an origin of how the toys can talk in Kingdom Hearts 3. Almost.
Really?
Well, because there's a toy that's just stood there, this big this big fucking like monster one, and then Sora's like, "How come he can't move?" And the Woody just goes, "I guess he hasn't figured it out yet." And he's like, "Well, figured what out?" And that's it. And it's like, we almost got a thing. They almost told us how they did it.
Is it like in Transformers? We've learned Earth's languages through the World Wide Web. Yep. Actually, shit, 95. Would we have had the World Wide Web then? We probably would have. When did we get the internet?
Yeah. I don't know when it became a big thing, but yeah.
My favorite character in this is Hopper. I love a good villain. I think it's a really cool look to the character. I think Kevin Spacey. Jeez, he's a great actor. In real life as well, of course. Jesus Christ, but he always plays a great villain because he is a villain. But he always plays a great role. Looking at his filmography, he's a tremendous actor and voice actor, and I think it's such a great personality for the Hopper character. Like the bits where I think like where Flick says like "leave her alone" or something, and he just turns and he just like walks into the camera like scowling, like, oh, he is. Yeah, you want her, take her. Like, it's a really intimidating personality to him.
Blind in one eye.
He's got the scar. I'm assuming it's from where he got attacked by a bird.
Yeah,
we get that lore, don't we? That he's terrified of them.
He's blind though, like because obviously when dogs go like, well, anyone really, but they got like the white eye. I think.
Yeah. This is interesting. So apparently, the director Lasseter's top choice for the villain was Robert De Niro. Was who he wanted. But apparently he repeatedly turned the film down. But then John Lasseter met Kevin Spacey at the 95 Academy Awards, pitched it to him, asked if Spacey would be interested in doing the voice of Hopper.
They should have got fucking Al Pacino. And then when they brought out Thumper, he should have been like, "Say hello to my little friend." That would be cool. That would have been the best thing. They should have done that now. Every time I see it now, I'm going to think that. And I'm like, oh, they should have done it.
And apparently Kevin Spacey was delighted and signed on immediately. Who would have thought it? Kevin Spacey was overjoyed that he'd be in a film which would attract a lot of kids.
Yeah,
great. Right. But art from the artist, I think it's a really good voice. I think it's a really good look for the character. And I've always liked... I love the action-packed finale of this as well. There's some really good action set pieces in this, actually, now I think about it. There's the bit where they build the bird and are flying, like manning the bird to try and, terrify the grasshoppers away. But I forgot about the chase at the end of the film where you've got all these rain. Yeah, go
It's
sorry.
done really well.
Yeah,
The animation of the bird, like, because even the smoothness on the feathers, it's yeah, the bird looks really cool, and also the movement of how it goes, just the really
yeah,
rapid.
yeah.
It's done very, very well.
It's very lifelike. They did really really well with that. Especially that bit where they're trying to rescue Dot and Francis in like the cracks in the earth.
Mm.
And it's like that little bit of that. I think it's like that first action scene you get in the film. It's actually really intense. You're like, holy shit, this bird is terrifying, because we're
The
seeing it all from the bug's perspective. I think it's, yeah, the sense of scale and the peril there is really very very real.
That bit always annoyed me in the game, because when you would fly on on the dandelion and then you'd have to go down, if you touch the cracks, the bird gets you, and it took me fucking hours to get past that the first time ever. It was so annoying.
But I really like the final chase where I love that shot where it first starts raining, and it almost like starts raining in the far distance, and then like the rainstorm, and it's like missiles hailing down from the
Yeah.
sky. I thought that was a really interesting thing to do. But where like they're ducking and weaving between the thorn bushes and whatnot, and it's dark, and yeah, so well done. Like the amount of hours and processing power, render time that it must have taken to do this film. And I have to keep reminding myself this is still just like a second feature. Like Pixar were really just hot out of the gate, just knocking it out of the park with some of the best animated films ever made, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good stuff. Right, we need to talk about this feud with Pixar and DreamWorks. Now, I don't know if you managed to read through the paragraph, but I think it is really, really an interesting read here. So you have there was a big public feud between on DreamWorks side you have Jeffrey Katzenberg, and on Pixar's side you have Steve Jobs and John Lasseter. So Katzenberg was the former chairman of Disney's film division and left the company after a feud with the CEO of Disney at the time, Michael Eisner. And in retaliation, Katzenberg went and set up DreamWorks Animation Studios, basically with Steven Spielberg and David Geffen. And initially, their first film for DreamWorks was going to be The Prince of Egypt. Then, all of a sudden, Ants moves its way up the schedule and is scheduled to be released a month, or at least around about the same time as A Bug's Life. Now, there's loads of conflicting stories here. He said this, she said this. So it's very difficult to know who to believe. But it is very coincidental that two rival animation companies both produce a film about ants and bugs in general. And not even just that, but the actual framework of the story, it is very similar in the regards of you have this very like an oddball main character who doesn't really fit in, is a bit sort of like wimpy with the rest of the colony, is seeking the is in love with a princess from the colony, and ultimately has to try and win her affections and save the colony from like an evil insect there. So they are very similar in like the broad strokes of the story. So what happened was basically Lasseter was still in was still in contact with Katzenberg, and despite the fact that Katzenberg had left Disney at this point and was doing his own thing, the two would sort of throw notes back and forth with each other and say like, oh hey, well, we haven't caught up for a while, what are you currently working on, kind of thing. They had that good professional rapport. Now Lasseter, being a very trusting person, spilled the beans on everything that they were doing at Pixar and said to Katzenberg, well, we're working on A Bug's Life, and explained the whole story of everything they were doing.
That's always a good idea.
And Katzenberg was apparently very, very interested in this and asked lots of follow-up questions like, oh, when are you guys planning to release this? And things like this. Obviously, time goes by and the news breaks out that DreamWorks are now moving up production on a film called Ants. Lasseter was quite rightly so, very, very angered at this. And apparently a man who never raised his voice, never cursed, never swore. Very heated words were said on the phone. Now, Katzenberg denies this completely. And there's a couple of different people that are mentioned who he claims, as early as 1991, the story for Ants was pitched. So it was already an idea that was floating around. I think it's convenient timing. There's even rumors that Katzenberg was willing to pay his employees even more to work round the clock to make sure that they got their film out before A Bug's Life, which I think they were successful in, actually. I think it was released a month ahead
I
of A
think it was
Bug's Life.
November, and this I can't remember. Yeah, it was a month or so. Yeah.
So they did beat them to the punch in that regard. And then Katzenberg fires back saying, well, he was annoyed at Disney because he felt like Disney were out to get him and there was some bad blood still between him and Disney. And the fact that he asked Disney to not release A Bug's Life to coincide with their first animated film, which originally was going to be Prince of Egypt. And Disney were like, yeah, we're good. We're going to open our animated film alongside yours. He wanted them to move so there wasn't competition. So I don't know if this was a revenge ploy in retaliation. It's difficult to know who to believe, but fundamentally, like, this goes in deep. This is very, you can read it on Wikipedia, and there's probably a bunch of other articles out there too that really go in depth. So it's difficult to know who to believe. But this feud went on long after both films were released, and both films were successful. Both films were really, really good, and did all right at the box office. But yeah, Steve Jobs was very, very vocal about this as well. And apparently didn't have any kind words to say to Katzenberg. So it's up for you to decide what happened.
But didn't they do the same with Shark Tale? Was it DreamWorks?
That's a really good point, actually. I never thought about that, but that was around about the same time as Nemo, wasn't it? So, yeah. That's a good point. I never even thought about that. Yeah.
That was the one that I preferred, Shark Tale.
Travis says the sequel that comes to mind for me is a Blueberry spin-off slash sequel. They're voiced by Ashley Tisdale and Hayden Panettiere, who are still relevant today. Them as adults with Francis would be fun. Have you heard about that Blueberry spin-off?
Yeah, so they're the little like the fucking the like the little group of bugs that Dot is sort of.
Oh, of course, yeah. Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean that could be cool. The only thing when you do things like that is, which I think could be fun, is you're sidestepping all the main characters of like Flick and all that, and I don't know how well that would sell. But that's a good point, because they're obviously the little characters that could then grow up. Do you know what I mean? And that's a believable sort of, they've grown up and then the others have gone, and then you could still get the voice actresses back. So that's a believable route to go down. I don't know how well that would. Well, then again, it's been so long. No one even fucking knows what the movie is. So I think it'd be fine. It would just be called. It wouldn't even call Bugs Life 2. That's call it something else. Just so that's what they'd have to do by this point, wouldn't they?
I forgot how much I actually love that Blueberry scene where they greet the warriors or the circus bugs, and they have that tapestry, and Heimlich's just, and it's all like really gory and there's blood everywhere. And what do they say? Yeah. They say something like, "Our teacher said to show death or something because it's more engaging." Yeah. I can't remember what he says.
I think one of them got their head coming off or some shit.
Yeah. And it's just the look of horror on the circus bugs' faces, because it does like it like crossfades, doesn't it, to show, because it's a really long performance, and the last bug's like, and die. They all just look traumatized. Oh, it's brilliant.
That is a really good scene.
It's a fun subversion, isn't it? Because we keep saying that it's a very tried and tested story. It's been done a million times. Seven Samurai, Magnificent Seven, bunch of other stuff. But I guess where the subversion comes in is that he intends to go out to get warriors to come back and fight for them, which he does. But then you have the comedic subversion where, oh, actually, no, these aren't warriors at all. These are just circus bugs. And that's where the comedy comes into it.
I like tuck and roll. Tuck and roll.
Yeah.
And I feel like I had toys of them from McDonald's. I can't remember. But I feel like there were.
I was going to say the McDonald's toys for this were fantastic. I remember a few I had. I remember having Dim. I remember having Rosie the Spider.
Remember Dim? Yeah.
I probably had Hopper as well. I feel like he sort of like twisted. I feel like his upper back like sort of popped off and twisted round.
I also remember I didn't understand as a kid what insect stick was. I was like, well, what's that? Is he just a talking stick? And I like, do you know what I mean? That's what I thought. And I remember my brother was like, no, he's like a stick insect. That's the thing. I was like, okay. And I kid you not, it was like a week later, I saw a stick insect and it crawled on my head. I was like, oh, it's like stick. It's a thing. No, Slim. Sorry. Slim. Not stick. Yeah. I was getting confused between Flick and Step. Anyway, But yeah, I was like, oh, it's like Slim. That's so cool. And I actually saw a stick insect for the first time. Never really seen one since. They're not, they're not the usual things. But I'll probably see one in the next week. It'll be just like random. I'm like, oh my god, it's a thing.
I like the bit with PT Flea where he's almost like this, Slim's this thespian who's, almost like Shakespearean, like a master of the stage, and he's always relegated to what is
Yeah,
it like? I'm always the broom, the pole, the stick, Splinter. You're a walking stick. It's funny. Now get out there and make them laugh.
yeah, that's he's that's always fun. They all have they all have their own unique personalities as well. There's not really a one that's sort of like shit.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? Whereas you usually get one that's like, oh, this one's just sort of does this, but they all got their own unique sort of thing about them, which is really good, and it's that attention to different characters. But I think that's where your Toy Story sort of, when I said they have more compelling characters, that's where your sort of cast of main characters comes from. Is that, I guess? As opposed to like the ants and stuff overall, or anything like that. But yeah, they've done very, very well.
Mm. Travis says, while it would piss people off today, Francis the Ladybug finding a wife despite looking like a woman with Dennis Leary returning could be funny. His adoptive children, the Blueberries, helping him.
Yeah,
I'd be cool with that.
If it pisses people off, let's do it. That's what we want. Piss off the fucking trannies and weird fucking goofies. I'm all for that.
Someone would be triggered by it now. Jesus Christ!
I just thought that was my favorite. That has always been my favorite joke in it, with the flies and the whole. When he's like, just because I'm a ladybug, that made me a lady. That was my favorite thing. But he was the one I had on the front cover of the video. So yeah, that was always my favorite bit. That with the rolling can with the flies, just the whole like weird, thuggish, and the bar scene and all that. I thought that was really cool.
I remember a lot of those scenes being in the trailer for this film. It had Baba O'Reilly by The Who. I distinctly remember that out here in the fields, I fight for my meals. I remember that being at the beginning of the trailer, and that trailer really stuck with me. And apparently in like movies, a teaser trailer for Star Wars Episode 1, The Phantom Menace, was attached to this film. So a lot of people, not just this film, there was a few that it was attached to, but people would buy a ticket for this film, watch the teaser trailer for Phantom Menace, and then just leave. Because, of course, the hype for Phantom Menace at the time was mental.
Wasn't the whole thing, wasn't there, wasn't it recorded of like the amount of people that called in sick to work that day or some shit?
Probably, yeah.
There was a thing, and it was like the statistic was really high. Isn't this the one that has the fucking the fireflies that's like, don't go into the lights?
I can't help it. It's so beautiful. That was used a lot, wasn't it?
Yeah, and I remember right at the end of the trailer, I'd be like, that was just brilliant.
Yeah.
But I remember the fireflies with the
hey, turn your butt off. That bit.
No, the beginning of the circus where like they shine the actual light. Yeah.
I didn't know this, actually. I was looking at the home video of this, and I guess Bugs Life breaking records here. Bugs Life was the first home video release to be entirely created using a digital transfer. Every frame of animation was converted from the film's computer data, as opposed to the standard analog film to videotape transfer process. So they went in frame by frame, and apparently on the video as well, because so on the DVD you had the proper aspect ratio to it. But on video, it was done in full screen. So they had to go in frame by frame and resize it to fit on for the video. So a lot of the picture and the information gets cut off because they've had to like zoom it and, resituate the frame and everything. But I didn't know that. And then it says that the film's VHS release was the best-selling VHS in the United Kingdom, with 1.76 million units sold by the end of the year. I don't know if that was still the case. Yeah, I didn't know that. I didn't know it. Well, I know it made a lot of money, but I didn't know it even did incredibly well on home media as well. So
the only ones that never got a sequel.
Yeah, this is what I mean. It's
a really odd thing that it didn't. I mean, as we said, like it's fine because they're not going to ruin it, but it's yeah.
Oh, here we go. A Ladybug's Life would be a fun title. Yeah, that's a good. Dude, we need to get you like on the Disney marketing team. They'd be lapping the shit up right now.
Like a lady, but don't tell him. That's true. Yeah, and then they could have a clip from the original, and you're like, yeah, but yeah, that'd be good.
We talk about the outtakes for this. This is the first Pixar film, which started a little bit of a trend, however short-lived it was.
Yeah, when did it stop? Because we spoke about this before. I can't remember when it stopped.
Oh God, was it Toy Story 2?
It wasn't Toy
like
Story 2 stopped, was it?
I feel like they only did 2. Yeah, I think so.
I feel like for some reason it feels like it went on a little bit longer than that.
Yeah, I think it was just this and Toy Story 2.
It feels like there would have been Monsters Inc. ones. I don't remember them, but it felt like it should have been.
Finding Nemo, there's a post-credit scene, but it's not an outtake. It's a continuation. It's like a fun little.
I feel like Monsters Inc. would have. I don't know. This is but yeah, this isn't because this is also incorporated in Toy Story 2 because they've got Bug's Life in the outtakes of that, which is really cool.
Do you have a favorite outtake? I always thought it was a fun little thing. Not all of them land, but as a kid, like you were laughing at all of them. It is pretty fun. I like the To Infinity and Beyond one where he gets the dandelion.
Yeah, that's that. To be fair, I think they really nailed it with the outtakes in Toy Story 2. I think that's where they, with which we will talk about obviously next week. But that's where I think they nailed it. I think they were cool, but I think next time is when it was proper. Like it was just perfect.
Mate, I'm telling you, try and track down a home video release of Toy Story 2 to watch because they're going to remove that Stinky Pete outtake. I just know it. It's going to get cancelled now. I did read with A Bug's Life, they were still adding in outtakes into the theatrical release of the film just a few weeks after it was released in cinemas. So there must have been a time, if you saw this early on, I don't know if it was released in the US and the UK at the same time, or if the US had it first and the UK or whatnot. But yeah, apparently there would have been fewer outtakes within that, and then they went back and added in a few more that were still in at the cinema. But all of the ones I remember seeing back at the cinema, so I don't feel like there's any new ones.
It's a cool trend. I don't know if it's something that would land in the movies that Pixar does today because it's not the same type of humor.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know because it's like that whole Animaniacs humor where it's that bit fourth wall breaking, but it's not dumb. It's not like because today if they did that, I think it would just land very like it would just seem a bit silly, like over the top silly, not like it would just be like why. That's how I feel it would land in movies today. Like I don't think it would work, but
Travis says you'd think the movie would have at least had an animated series like Buzz Lightyear Star Command,
which was such a good series.
It was a good time.
It would have been like the Adventures of Flick or something. Like, do you know what I mean? He would have like where his weird inventions and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Or it would be Dot, like her, like it'll be like a. Do you know what I mean? Like one for like Disney Channel or something. It was that would be cool.
But yeah, I think it'd be interesting to know where I rank this one when all's said and done. I think it's a solid film. I think everything
about Thumper. I would like a Thumper series. Need to know
what
more
happens to him at the end? Does he just get scared away by Dim? That's it. He just flies away.
Yeah, that's good. I want to see more of his backstory. How he got like that. What he did. When he just. Yeah, I want to see more of it. Why he's tied up on chains. Did he go that way because they put him on chains, or did he go on chains because he was always fucked? Like, which one was it? That's what I want to see. Him in a padded cell. That's what I want.
There was a lot of this film that came back to me because, as I say, I haven't watched this in so long. I like that little tune they play for the circus bugs. That do 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 do, and you got them on like the
music in this is really. I do think Toy Story 1 is probably the best music out of all of them, though. Like it's got lots of but this
nostalgic, isn't it? That one,
yeah. And this music is great. Yeah,
it's a really good film. Bug's Life's a really good film. I think its technological advancements are often overlooked by probably subsequent Pixar films, but of course they're just going to keep getting better and better as they continue. With all the new technologies and softwares that were coming out. But this one definitely gets overlooked, and I think this one definitely did help push the lighting and the capabilities, as I say, how many people they could have on screen. I think it's extremely well written. I do think that the plot is a little bit stock. As there is that cool subversion in there, which does give it an element of, like a unique quality to it. But yeah, it's just... I won't say it's like the high end of average because that's I think that's doing a disservice to the film. It's a really good film, but this isn't sort of in the pantheon of even Finding Nemo for me or Monsters Inc. or Toy Story or something.
I'm sure that the video game had clips from the movie.
Yes, it
When
did. I remember that. Yeah.
when did they stop doing that as well? Because that's not a thing anymore. But then again, they don't do movie video games anymore, do they?
Mm-hmm.
Because remember that used to be a thing like everywhere.
Oh, it was every film that would come out, you'd have something, wouldn't you?
And you got you got ones like this that were good. But there started to be a decline where they just ended up being really crap, and then now they just don't do them anymore. But they did a Revenge of the Sith one as well, which was good. I remember
that was fantastic. That was
I
really
remember
good.
that being one of the last ones. I don't remember there being too many. I mean, I think
It was probably around 05 then, maybe like
yeah,
mid
I
2000s.
think they do a Jumanji one, which was apparently fucking awful. I think they did an Avatar one as well. So they do exist, but now it's more they do something in that world, you know. But yeah, 05 because they did all the Lord of the Rings ones. They did Revenge of the Sith. They did a Phantom Menace. Did they do Attack of the Clones?
I don't remember Attack of the Clones directly, but there was Star Wars Bounty Hunter and there was Battlefront 2, which I guess
there wasn't a direct movie one on that. There was, but there was obviously Bugs Life, Toy Story 2. Did we ever Finding Nemo one? I can't remember.
Yeah, there was a Finding Nemo one on PS2. So, I played that. Yeah,
there was a time that they stopped, but that was fun when they used to do.
Let's see. Travis says, in Toy Story 5, we need a random Ant-Man action figure, of course voiced by Paul Rudd, who enlists the help of ants to help the gang, and that's how you bring the characters back from Bug's life. I mean, they already exist, technically, in the Toy Story world, because one of the outtakes of Toy Story 2 is Buzz chopping through the hedge. They already exist, yeah. And they exist specifically in Toy Story's world.
Into the size, though, that's the only thing. But then, how would they be much bigger than? No, much smaller than the little art. Well, the army men aren't in it anymore.
Yeah,
they could do that. They could do that and have new. Essentially, they are the new army men. They could do it. They could do it.
And Brian says Princess Atta's voice used to be a cast member on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, I never really got into watching much Saturday Night Live, but I imagine probably a lot of these earlier films had a lot of talent from Saturday Night Live. I would imagine.
Ariana Grande's on that. Yeah.
There you go. You should be watching it.
That's all I know. But I only know the things that she's done, and that's it. That's all
I know. But yeah, I know you definitely rank this one among one of the highest, don't you, in Pixar's films?
I rank it higher than Finding Nemo and The Incredibles and Monsters Inc. and what other fucking Pixar movies are there? I rank it higher than quite a lot. Wouldn't be higher than Toy Story 2. Not a single one of them comes higher than Toy Story 2. I feel like Toy Story 1 has the edge, but it's up there. It'd probably be Toy Story 2. Actually, I don't know.
Well, don't spoil your ranking. You know,
I'm just trying to think in terms of top, like, because it is up there with them, so that it would be in probably the top 3. But then I'm like, I don't know. So but it would probably be Toy Story 1. Then this is what it would go for me.
Well, that's a good segue, because next week we will be talking about Toy Story 2. I always keep forgetting how quick Pixar were, out of the gate with a sequel, but it's definitely one of the best. I remember it was that, I don't want to talk too much about it now, because obviously we'll be going, it's probably going to be one of our longest reviews, actually, I would say, Toy Story 2. It was that birthday movie. You'd go and see it with a group of friends for their birthday, or you'd go with another group of friends to see it with their family. I remember it being that film. I think I went to see this a whole bunch of times at the cinema.
It's definitely, it's the number one, but it's still the one that I still feel like, because when we were saying about Disney classics, Disney 1, 2, they're all numbered. When they did the DVDs of these, they started numbering the Pixar ones, and I was like, but Toy Story 2 is a sequel. It's still, as much as I love it, it was still weird seeing 1, then 2, and that's 3, and I'm like, no, but it's still weird.
Well, they were just cashing in on everything's done it. DreamWorks has done it. They did like the live action Disney remakes. Like they're just doing everything in the slipcovers.
Is one of the ones where the sequel is better than the original. I think it is. It's my favorite Pixar movie. It's 100% left.
Yeah, Toy Story 2. That's going to be. I kind of want to watch that. So I'm watching these films every Monday. It's sort of like my Monday tradition. Monday's like one of the only days that I get off work. So it's nice to just chill in the morning before I get into like all the stuff that I need to do.
Bowl of cereal.
With the bowls. Yeah, it's just like all times. Yeah, and just, I can't wait to watch Toy Story 2. And I already know that song's going to absolutely kill me. When Somebody Loved Me, that song. That might be one of the best songs ever written.
I heard that on the radio recently.
Oh, did you? Oh, that's cool.
I can't remember what radio station, but there was a radio player and I heard that on it, and I was like, you don't hear this every day. This is. I didn't know that was written for the movie at first. I thought because of the sound of it as well, it sounds like it was it wasn't written for the movie. It was a song put in it, but it was, yeah.
Travis says, don't want to go off on Toy Story, but Al returning in 5, now with a toy collector YouTube channel, complaining about how the new toys suck would be funny. Yeah, I kind of don't want them to keep bringing in cameos. I do like new stuff. So if we have got some interesting stuff with it, with the technology side of things now.
I do think Toy Story 5 will be, I think it'll be an okay movie. I think it'll be like, yeah, that was all right. But it'll be, again, they should have finished at 3. And again, it would be like, okay, but we didn't need 4 then, did we? It literally, it would be an okay movie if you take out 4 and if you're okay with them continuing after a story ends. But if as a movie itself, I think Toy Story 5, I think it'll probably be all right. This is where it'll be terrible.
Yeah. look at current Disney, Disney, Marvel, Pixar.
It's terrible, but yeah.
Travis says, for me, Toy Story 2 is the best, then 1, 4, and 3. All great, though. I don't know. I kind of hate Toy Story 4.
I don't know how you can put 4 above 3. 3 is such a good movie. The thing is, 4 isn't, and I think we said this, it's not the worst movie ever. It's something you go, yeah, but it's a Woody short that for some reason was an hour and a half. It felt like, you know what they did for Moana 2, where it's like, this should have been a TV show. Like that was the original idea. It felt like this is a short that they went, oh, let's just do a full length. It's going to earn loads of money. That's what it felt like.
Yeah. Right, I think we'll round it off there then. So if you're discovering this after the fact, please do let us know your thoughts on A Bug's Life. This was a really fun one to revisit. I think a lot of these early Pixar films are really fresh in my mind. Like, I feel like I could do, I think you mentioned this earlier as well, you could do a review for Toy Story 2 right now. I could probably do a review for Monsters, Inc. and Finding Nemo now as well.
Yeah, they're very, very fresh. And Bug's Life was as well. Bug's Life is one that I just watched it again. I was like, I just knew it all. But Bug's Life it's sad because we never really, because it never gets mentioned in anything, so we won't ever really talk about it ever again.
And we've just made an hour and 10-minute video on it, so there you go. That's our contribution. Go and see Bug's Life if you haven't seen it already. Bath time, talking to you. Where are you? Go and see Bug's Life.
Not see it. It's not okay.
And obviously do consider subscribing to the channel for more movie reviews, discussions, and live streams. Currently, I mean, we don't have any films booked in at the cinema. I do keep checking the app to see if there's any cool rescreenings or anything like that. We got done with the Lord of the Rings trilogy. So right now, it's pretty much just Pixar. So if you enjoy your Pixar and Disney, we've got this retrospective going through pretty much until September. So, we're not going anywhere with it. In March, I will be starting another big retrospective, which should take up a couple of years. That's going to be reviewing all of the Best Picture winners at the Academy Awards, which is going to lead into the 100th Academy Awards. Just before we finish, I'm just going to bring up Travis's last couple of comments here. Travis says, I don't think this is the case, but imagine the Woody in Toy Story 5 isn't the same Woody, but reissue commenting on nostalgia toy lines, except his holster and violent catchphrases are taken away.
You know what? The thing is, the only reason I'd be okay with that is because
it preserves the ending of 4.
No, just because I know it's going to be shit anyway, and I'll be fine if it is shit. Like, I'm going all in. We're going, it's going to be shit, but fuck it. It's kind of like I never went to see the new Motley Crue, and that's never going to happen. But if you did, and your mindset was, it's going to be shit, but fuck it. Like, that's why I know I'd be okay with that, because it's going to be shit anyway. So let's just see how shit it's going to be.
Well, we'll find out. We haven't got that many months to wait, have we? So it is going to overlap with this retrospective. So I think what we're going to have to do is, and this is a reason that I haven't numbered these, because as you said, like, Pixar films shouldn't be numbered. They're not like in a sequence. We're just going to,
when it comes out.
Yeah, we're just going to have to drop Toy Story 5 into the mix. Maybe even Elio as well, if we're doing all of the award-nominated films.
It will come out before we end up doing Toy Story 4, though, won't it? Which is really weird.
Yeah, I know. It's all fucked. But we're going to try and figure it out anyway. But until then, we're just going to enjoy the ride. So Toy Story 2 next week, Wednesday again at 9 p.m. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's joined us tonight and commented along. We really appreciate you taking the time out of your evening to watch our stuff. And we'll be back next week. Take care, everyone.